So, hey, this is Reese with the worship team here at Church of the Highlands. Today we wanted to give an overview of the Kemper Profiler that you'll see at a lot of our portable campuses now, and a lot of the permanent campuses are getting upgraded to these. So what we want to do is give you a quick start guide, how to set this thing up, how to turn it on and off. So starting off, you really want this thing on browser mode right here. So hopefully it's turned off when you get to it. But when you turn it on, all you gotta do is put it to browser. We actually don't use Perform unless we're getting in with a foot controller, which we're not utilizing at this point. The next thing you want to do is take a look at your volumes. There's a few different volume controls on the Kemper. The first one is the master. If you twist it, you can see the master volume control down at the bottom of the screen. A general rule is you would want it right at about 5. Let me see if I can get it right on the money. That'll give you plenty of headroom to turn it up or down if you're running into gain issues with the soundboard. There's a second volume control right here down below. This one actually needs to stay at 0. That's going to be right in the middle. So both the master and the volume should be in the middle. Hopefully that will solve any clipping issues that you may run into, maybe if it sounds a little bit too distorted. That's pretty much where we're keeping them across all the different campuses. Another thing you may want to pay attention to is this noise gate right here. We actually turn that all the way off, and hopefully it's already at 0. But if you feel like it's not responding like a normal amp would, or if you feel like it's cutting off quite a bit, chances are that noise gate could be on. So going further, you also have the gain right here. This is something that you don't want to adjust heavily. If you find a particular amp that responds well to your rig or to your guitar, you may want to adjust the gain a little bit. Like this one is kind of like a medium setting, so it's at 2.5. I wouldn't bring it up more than probably like 2 or 3. Let me put it back here to 2.5. But if you adjust with the digital gain too much, it's going to really affect the sound in a negative way. So I would suggest if you have an amp on here and you like the way it sounds and don't like the gain, there's probably a cleaner version of it somewhere on here. Some few other troubleshooting tips if you're running into issues with the Kemper. If you have more clipping problems, your output gain may be messed up. So I'm going to press and hold this output soft switch, and you can adjust the main volume down here. The monitor volume is if you would have like another speaker on stage, if you wanted that, like the feel of the amp. But this main volume, it's already on -13. You could turn that down even more if you're running into issues. Hopefully you've already looked at the master and the other volume. I'm going to hit exit right here to get off the screen. You also may want to look at the input soft switch right here. So if I hold that down, you have some distortion and clean knobs right here. You may need to adjust those as well. But the input source, if your Kemper Profiler is in a rack mount, it should be in the front. Let me see if I can find this, probably a front input. If it plugs in from the back, then you want to make sure the input source is on alternative input. So I'm going to go ahead and hit exit again. A few other things to be aware of if you're using this. The Kemper does have effects included with some of the amps, so if you find an amp that you like, it's probably a good idea to go through this stop section and turn it off. So for example, the Matchless JJ Clean comes with a few effects already on, and I actually like to turn that off completely. So if you press that stop switch, notice the light turns off. They weren't on anyway, but I like to go ahead and turn that section off. And same thing with effects over here. It's probably a good idea to just go ahead and turn that off. So let's say we found this amp and we really like it, and we want to be able to save our settings. Maybe we've adjusted a little bit of EQ here with bass, mids, and treble. If we want to store it, we can hit the store button right here, and then we're going to hit store as. We have an option to rename it. You can use the browse knob to change the name of it if you like. You can set it to your name so you can easily find it if you rotate electric guitar spots on Sundays. And then once you have the name that you like, you can just hit store, and it's going to store it so you can pull it up next time. So As you can see, now we have a second matchless JJ clean here since we stored it. So if we wanted to find a different amp, since we're in browse mode, we're going to use this browse knob right here. So if you start twisting it, you can see we're scrolling through the different amps. Now you should have all the amps that are on here when we set them up before we sent the Kempers off. What I like to do is I like to sort by author, because we use a specific author's profiles. If it doesn't say sorted by author here, you can press this soft switch on the display, and you can press it again until it says by author. Just let it sit for a second. What we're looking for is MBrit. These profiles are really good. They're some of the best ones on here. So I'm just scrolling through a whole bunch, and there's a lot on here. But if you want a basic starting point, kind of like a generic rig, we've landed on this one right here. It's the matchless JJ clean. So if you yours may say auto load right there, and if it's on auto load, you can just let it sit there and it'll load. But this one just says load, so I'm going to go ahead and press that button. If you've never used a Kemper before, this matchless JJ clean amp is a great place to start. If for some reason that doesn't work for you, there are plenty of other ones by Michael Britt on here. They're really well done profiles that sound like really nice boutique amps. So if you're used to playing with your amp in ISO cab, then you really don't have to worry about that feel difference, because it's going to respond hopefully like you're used to. So here are some other amps that we ended up liking. So I do like this matchless JJ clean. That's great. Wesley and I have made a few. Let me scroll down here, get off of Michael Britt. So if you ever played at the Grants Mill campus, then you might have played one of the matchless DC30s. So this is the matchless DC30 that's in the EG1 cab, and then if you've played the EG2 DC30, that would be Wesley's settings on that DC30. This EG1 DC30 is more like a John Ross type setting, and Wesley actually went and programmed his AC30 in here, so if you wanted to see what that sounds like, that's another great place to start. If you're a Fender guy, if we scroll back up to the Michael Britt amps, there's some Two Rocks if you're into Two Rock. There's some really good Fender ones on here, and I believe they're called Lux. So there's 699 amps on here, so there's a lot to scroll through. Here we go. So the 67 Lux Verb, if you're a Fender guy, those actually sound really great. This 1S right here sounds really good. There's a Deluxe Reverb that also sounds awesome. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. There's another Deluxe Reverb. There's a Champ. The 62 Lux is also a great starting point. So hopefully that's a few to get you started. It can be a little overwhelming having 700 amps to choose from, but a lot of these are really gainy and really distorted, so we've actually gone through a lot of them and found some that really work for the type of music that we play. So we pretty much recommend any of the Fender amps, definitely any of the DC30s if you're used to kind of that tone, and then also that matchless JJ clean is a really good one. That's my favorite. I'm going to talk about that one all day.